Alright. Imagine yourself, you're alone at the park, playing basketball, just shooting around. Now a couple more guys come and they start watching you. Now multiply those couple guys by a couple thousands, resulting in 18,997 fans at the Staples Center, all watching you live. Now with along all those fans, there's 100 cameras watching you, facing your direction, and for viewers at home. And with the third most popular sport in the United States, you can guarantee there's going to be a lot of people watching at home. Now imagine the next shot you take will determine the result of the whole game and possibly even the championship. By taking this shot, you could either be remembered by all the good or all the bad. Okay, I think you get the point now. So, do you think you can control your nerves under this kind of pressure? The amount of pressure is unbelievably huge. So I came to the conclusion that out of all team sports, NBA players deal with the most pressure and nerve-wracking experience of the game due to situations from rules in basketball. Basketball players experience the most nerve-wracking experiences because of situations and how the game's set up. So there are only 5 players on the court. It's not like football or soccer, where there's 10 players on the field with you. Basketball, when you're on the court, you only have 4 guys by your side. Because of the fewer players, the media and fans are more focused on you, which give each player a more individual focus. The ball is what the eyes follow, and basketball is the #1 sport where the ball is being passed around the most. Each time the ball is handled, it's up to the player to perform with it, always exposing him to either make the play go correctly or mess it up. And basketball, wins are determined by the most positive accumulated possessions, and within these possessions are 2 different offensive situations that fans expect out of you. Either you score a basket in play, or you score points by shooting free throws. And because everyone knows who Kobe is, I'm going to use him as an example in the final seconds of the game. So, say Lakers are down 88 to 90. They're at their home court playing against the Nuggets. At timeout, Lakers decide on a final play. So Lakers inbound the ball to Kobe with 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Within those 8 seconds, Kobe has to try to execute the play, analyze the floor, move around, and decide if the play will work or if he just has to take it himself. Keep the eye on the shot clock, take the shot, and most importantly, make it. He has 8 seconds to do all this, all while ignoring his emotions, the camera's rolling, and thousands of fans watching. He knows he has to make the shot for his team, his city, and most importantly, himself. He knows after this shot, he'll either be the hero of the game or not. Kobe's situation is intense, but another situation is even more intense, which is free throw shooting at the final seconds of the game. So say again, Lakers are down 88 to 90, and in the final seconds, Dwight Howard gets fouled, which means Lakers lose that game. But he shouldn't think like that. He knows he always or absolutely has to make these shots, tie it up, and continue, tie it up and stay in the game for a possible win. Free throw shooting is the most nerve-wracking and high in pressure because there's no action going on, so the players can't feed off of adrenaline. And don't forget, in Kobe's situation, he had the option to either pass the ball to someone else so they could shoot it, or they could shoot it. Now with the free throw, you and only you has to take the shot. The shot will determine the result of the whole game. No one could set a screen for you, no one could help you out. At this moment, you're all by yourself. Playing under the whole atmosphere of an NBA game is a lot of pressure, even in regular season. So just imagine how much more pressure the player feels during finals. Playing under the whole atmosphere of an NBA game. Two teams have made it to the end of the playoffs, now representing the city at a higher rate, and even representing either east side or west side. Players definitely feel a lot more pressure to do their absolute best to be the #1 team in the NBA. Larry Bird, former Boston Celtic, is a 5-time participant in the finals, and he was asked if he could feel the intensity of playing in the finals. Larry Bird replied, "Oh yeah, the intensity is there. It seems like everybody in the whole country knows who's playing. It's an ultimate feeling, but it's a lot of pressure too." And Isaiah Thomas, former guard of the Detroit Pistons, is a 3-time finals participant, and he had some advice for the first-time finalists. He said, "The first thing I will tell any first-timer is that you have to be mentally prepared and mentally strong. When you're playing for the championship, it's not about your skill, it's about your will. Everybody at the stage of the game is physically gifted, so it's about how mentally tough you are." The second piece of advice I give them is to not be afraid of the big crowd or be intimidated of all the media around you, because when you walk onto the floor, the first time and you see the media herd from around the world, your natural response is to think, "Oh my God, there are going to be so many people watching." So you really have to stay focused on the game and what you're there for. So I can't even imagine to start to believe how hard these guys have to focus on the game with all these thoughts and emotions running through their head. So playing in front of thousands of people, big plays, games that come down to the final point, clock winding down, disappointments, victories, these are all factors that could be experienced in any sport, really. But the reason I want you to remember as to why I think basketball players experience the most pressure is because the certain situations in NBA games and how much more focus the crowd is on you instead of more people. So next time you're watching an NBA game, put yourself in their shoes and just imagine their situation and just imagine if you could handle the pressure.
So Robert, what did you think?
You had a good intro, a good conclusion. Like throughout the speech, there was a lot of good imagery, and examples, like with the Lakers and stuff. I think it could have used a bit more of like comparison and contrast, like with other sports, to bring out more of the controversy. And also, you're reading a lot, which is sort of an issue. And that's it.
Okay. Yeah, the best part of the speech is all the visualization that goes on. We get a lot of ability to kind of see what it is you're talking about in our heads. We can imagine those scenarios. You've got very descriptive ways of setting them up, and I thought that you did an excellent job on that. I do think that we have a little bit of an issue concerning why this is a controversy. I think you've pulled us into this story and got us intrigued in it. I'm not sure why it's really something that you need to be convincing us of. I guess if there was 10 people sitting in a bar having a conversation about what the most pressure-packed sport is, then I think you've got an interesting argument here. I'm not sure that that's a very generalizable scenario, though, for a presentation like this. And I got to agree with Robert, because I do think the first thing that occurred to me was all of the comparisons that I would be making. You were focusing on the individual aspect of it, and you talked about the free throw thing, for instance, and having it online, and immediately. And I'm not a fan of either basketball or this other sport, but the immediate thought that I had, guy standing in the batter's box staring down the pitcher, at the World Series, and he fouls it off 16 times in a row. The count is full. The crowd is standing on its feet screaming, and you're talking about who's got the most pressure on them. And I'm going, okay, well, how do you compare pressure in those situations? I'm creating that rebuttal visualization that's going on in my head, and you've never talked about any of the other sports, for instance, as a way of diminishing them, except when it comes to the number of people that might be on the field at a time. You mentioned soccer and football, for instance, at one point, but in that one-on-one context, you even mentioned basketball is the third most popular. I'm going to suspect that before soccer, basketball is there, and the two things in front of it are probably baseball and football, so those would seem to be the comparisons that you need to make. Like I said, the visualizations are pretty good, and I thought that you did a nice job at the end by giving us the quotes from the other basketball players who'd been in those pressure situations in the final, Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas. I thought that was good. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about his career. I know everybody's all excited about it, but it sounds like Dwight Howard has Shaq disease. I don't know, but that's what it sounded like you were implying there. And so that's, I think, an interesting way to explain this concept of the individual pressure, and I thought you had a little bit of humor built into it. I thought the presentation was generally solid. I didn't think that the eye contact was that problematic. You are reading a lot, but that's because you created these elaborate visualizations, and I think that that's one of those things that you really want to be able to do. Gesundheit. I did think that the big pages were a little bit distracting, and that it might have been better if this had just been on individual cards. All right, thank you.